There are 4 helicopters in GTA 5 that allow you to rappel to the ground rather than jumping and parachuting. To do this, you need to be a passenger in either the Annihilator, Annihilator Stealth, Maverick, or the Police Maverick. If a helicopter is held at a steady and reasonable height, you'll be prompted to rappel down from the side of the helicopter using a rope. This is one of many forgotten features in GTA Online, and today we're going to cover 15 useful features that nobody uses anymore. I also find it very odd that the rappelling rope disappears in the Rockstar editor. Not sure why that's the case, but it just doesn't exist. Keeping to the skies, it's fairly rare to see people utilizing the flight formation ability in both the MC and CEO menus. This feature allows the host of the business to fly a plane and turn on formation flying to allow their associates to match their speed, regardless of what plane they're in. For example, here you can see both a Bambushka and a Cuban keeping up with my Raiju. This is great for airplane sail missions where many people need to go to the same locations. On top of that, it also increases your health, armor, and repairs your airplane. The same feature is available for motorbikes on the ground, and although it's more commonly known, it's not as utilized. The Biker MC formation ability does the exact same thing for those on motorcycles, meaning that you can get your Fagio mod to go the same speed as your HSW Hakuchu Drag, or even your modified Reaver. Again, this also heals your character and adds armor, though surprisingly the feature isn't available in driving the police bike, and this might be because it's in the emergencies class and not the motorbikes class. While flying down the road at top speed, it can always be a nuisance to pause the game to set a waypoint at a new location, and that's where the quick GPS feature comes in. Now, I have not seen many people utilizing this for its intended purpose, despite being the first option in the interaction menu. The biggest problem here is that it just lists a whole slew of properties that take forever to scroll by to find what you're looking for. These include all of your personal garages, apartments, every type of store or mod shop, each of your businesses, and any other notable locations on the map. With that being said, if it's not one of the newest businesses or property you own, it's probably just quicker to use the map and set the waypoint manually. However, this feature has one other use, which is the ability to remove any waypoint without opening the map. This is very useful when your priorities change of where you might be going or what you might be doing, and I usually find myself clearing my waypoint using this method instead of opening the map. If you're looking for a fast way to travel around the map, the CEO Fast Travel Helicopter can be accessed via the CEO interaction menu or by calling your assistant. Now, this helicopter will spawn somewhere near you and will allow you to fast travel back to your office, your vehicle warehouse, or any of your large, medium, or small warehouses around the map. Now, this is fairly limited, but is quite useful when working with these businesses. On top of that, you can also kill the pilot and steal this helicopter for your own personal use, which can be useful for calling a helicopter close to you when your personal vehicle is already active. So now that we've covered 5 travel features, let's move on to 5 ability-based features, starting off with the Terabytes Scanner. The only time that this is ever really used is within friend circles or if you're just looking to be snoopy. Once you scan a player, it will give you a small list of stats for that player, including their total earnings, player deaths and kills, accuracy, favorite weapon, vehicle and radio station, as well as how many private dances or sex acts they've purchased on their account, which can always lead to some funny conversations. Okay, well my high wind's 42. Now if you're interested in seeing my stats, stick around to the end. Now, many people complete the weekly challenge as the rewards are very clear and set by Rockstar each week, and they're typically pretty worthwhile. However, the daily objectives have been swept under the rug due to how much effort and consistency they occasionally take. With that being said, the first objective is always the same across every player, so that's typically where certain job types are included, making them more popular for the day amongst players. But then again, sometimes it's still hard to get into those missions with other players. And the rewards for daily objectives are a bit more complicated and less worthwhile, rewarding the player $30,000 and 5,000 RP for completing all 3 of the daily objectives. And if you manage to do this for 7 consecutive days, you'll receive an additional 150,000 and 20,000 RP. And if you do the same thing for 28 days, you'll get $750,000 and 50,000 RP, meaning that over the 28 days, you would have gotten a total of $1.74 million, though you can't miss a single day or a single objective. So it's not really worth it unless you have a lot of time on your hands. Now, I know I haven't ranked all of them yet, but ATMs do exist in the game, and a ranking will come one day. But many people assume that the ATM is useless since we can use the banking app on our phones without having to drive to a set location. However, that's not entirely true, as they do have slightly different features. When using your phone, your maximum withdrawal limit is $1 million, so if you want to withdraw more than that for whatever reason, you'll have to go to the ATM or use the phone multiple times, since the ATM's limit is $10 million. This also works in the other direction, as the ATM's deposit limit is $10 million, while on the phone it's actually however much money you actually have. Meaning that the phone is always better for depositing, but slightly worse for withdrawals. If you are interested in going to see an ATM, you can use the quick GPS feature to find the nearest one to you. Heading back to the abilities within the MC section of the interaction menu, nobody really sets their associates as specific roles nowadays. There are 4 different roles you can set for you and your friends. If someone's set as Vice President, they gain the ability to target a rival or request Bull Shark Testosterone. We'll touch on that a little bit more in the future. As Road Captain, you'll be able to request vehicles that otherwise aren't available in the MC menu, such as the Slam Van. You also gain the ability to start your own riding formation, which we mentioned earlier in this video. If you're set as the Sergeant at Arms, you'll be able to request an ammo drop or Molotov cocktails for a small price, making it easy to refill your ammo or the ammo of your friends. The base role of Enforcer allows you to request a hit to attack a player and request body armor. These features may not seem like much, but when combined could be fairly useful for a group of friends. Well, let's say you're having some fun playing paintball with the police when they decide to impound your car for no reason whatsoever. Well, many players nowadays will just call a new car and get that one destroyed, but some players will still go to the impound lot, break in and steal it back, or pay the $250 fee. However, if you call your office assistant, they'll be able to retrieve the car from the impound and have it delivered to you, automatically making it much more efficient than any of the previously mentioned options if you want the same car right away. Moving from the abilities section to our weaponry section, we'll start by calling Merryweather to request an airstrike. This feature is more well known, but it's not very utilized since it's fairly limited. But if you have a small group of people, or a car that you really just don't like and want to see destroyed by any means possible, this is a very fun way to deal with that problem. For me, that vehicle is the Mamba. Now I know I briefly mentioned Bull Shark Testosterone with the MC roles, but you can also still call Brucey to request it, and although it makes you stronger for combat, it will not protect you if you fall from a 4-story parking garage. That's my fault. Now I always thought it was common knowledge, but every time I happen to do it, someone is always surprised that you can use melee weapons from a motorcycle. When riding a motorcycle and selecting any of the melee options or your fist, you can actually kick or swing your weapon at passing cars or fellow riders. This can be done by holding and pressing A or X and pressing the bumper on the appropriate side of your controller that you want to attack from. This also works for one-handed weapons and the shocker, which still manages to electrocute the enemy. Now back to when Rockstar first added the ability to throw grenades when aiming weapon, there was definitely a few times where I did accidentally blow myself up. But since then, it's kind of been a forgotten feature that I haven't used in years. When aiming down the scope of a gun, if you press right on the D-pad, it will throw whichever throwable you have selected in the weapon wheel. This includes grenades, sticky bombs, proximity mines, pipe bombs, tear gas, and Molotovs. So in the future, if you're looking to blow up a car without switching your weapons, simply throw one while holding your gun. You can save a little bit of time, and it's fairly underutilized. Last but not least, we have the Stone Hatchet ability, which is a toned down version of Trevor's ability in story mode, allowing you to go into rage and take extra damage before dying. To activate this, you simply have to kill one NPC or player using the axe, and then to keep the ability going, you have to frequently be axing more players or NPCs before it deactivates. As you can see, I'm able to take a lot of shots with this ability, but as soon as it deactivates, I'm as good as dead. So there you have it, 15 somewhat useful features that are rarely used. Let me know which one of these is most useful for you, and I'll see you next time.